All right.
We're on.
Wait for I think we're on. Who knows? It's always the great part of this program. You just you hit go live, and it's like, yes, let's go live, and nothing really nothing straight up tells you that it's you're all good to go, you're all gone. So you just live in hope for a couple of seconds. But it looks like we're good. So so welcome everyone to as we say what most would call the most overhyped 50 to 60 view per episode show on YouTube. Welcome to Baseline Drunks Live. I'm Hendo, and tonight I'm joined by a man who has an LA Lakers card collection that would make grown collectors cry. Welcome to Dan Howard from Dan How Cards. How are you, mate?
Yeah, good, man. Thanks for having me on. I've been excited all week for it, eh?
Yeah, good, man.
Been keen for it.
You said before, just earlier, that you're finishing up Dry July, so it probably
mate.
A two-part.
It's been a very, very long month. Yeah, it's good to actually crack a beer that gets you pissed. I've been on the 0% alcohol ones because my method in it was every time I was singing for a beer, I'd have one of them, and by the time I finished that, I wouldn't want a beer anymore. So it's worked for the whole month, but now actually cracking one open and it tastes all right. It's just different.
Good lad. No, I dig it. Yeah, so we've got a bit to go through tonight. We'll obviously touch a fair bit on the LA Lakers. We're going to touch on a little bit about the Olympics as well. A bit about the Boomers. We'll, as always, for me, I'm a Carlton Football Club supporter in the AFL, so there's always at least a sentence or two of just mostly horrendous stuff that I want to say about them. Bit about Formula One, not much really there. Give the Hobby Hangout in Melbourne another plug. And then, we've got a little feature collector. No NBA Hoops roulette this week. Our good friends at Coles didn't have any packs for me to buy one or two of for the old roulette. So we missed out on that. But yeah, it should be a lot of fun. We've got a heap of people in the comments. We got Cody, Jimmy P, and Mayo all apparently have no pants on. So that's, some would say it's a bad start. Others would say it's a good start. You got Ryan, Carpet Punter, Kai, Liam, Jack. Yeah, everyone's getting about. Jonathan, I just call him Maggie, but yeah, Johnny boy's there. Don't have Pokemon roulette either, Jimmy. Sorry, I got 4 packets of Pokemon cards and then subsequently opened all 4 of them. So, but yeah. So look, thanks, man, for coming on. I mean, it's the obvious question that I've got, I guess, just to kick off. Not that there's really a whole lot of structure to this sort of shit, but I mean, what got you into collecting, and more notably, what got you into collecting the LA Lakers?
Yeah, right. So I only started getting into basketball in general, playing and watching basketball when I was about 12. So I'd say that's probably a bit later than most kids would. But I went and moved to school in Newcastle. I'm about an hour away from Newcastle living. And just everyone was playing there, and just started getting into it and had to pick a team. And I had the game 2007 NBA Live, and no one ever believes this is how I started supporting the Lakers. But Kwame Brown actually used to be my favourite player on the game. I didn't even know what position he played. I thought he was a point guard. Turned out to be the worst player ever, and he was a centre, the complete opposite. And I just started going for him then, I guess, and looked them up on Google and checked the standings, and they're actually all right. So that's how I started going for the Lakers. And everyone used to talk about NBA in school and that, so I started following it pretty hardcore. And obviously loved Kobe. He was the sort of reason why I kind of still like basketball. I just kept supporting him, that sort of stuff. He just his work ethic and everything about him, I just enjoyed watching. And so as far as collecting, I didn't even really know about the hobby as such, or cards and that sort of stuff. I just kind of wanted autographed memorabilia of the team I supported. So about 5 years ago, the only way I was 100% certain, I didn't know about all these authentication companies and that to make sure it's legit. I just decided to get a card, and Panini obviously is 100% authentic, and got a Kobe one for about $300. Pretty sure everyone's seen the Kobe one I'm talking about. Probably the crown jewel of my collection, and just that's how it started off, I guess. I bought that, and I
That
didn't
was
really
the
know
first
what I
one.
wanted to collect. Yeah, that was the first one, man. First one I ever bought. It was at the time $300 for me as like a 20-year-old. It was a massive
Yeah,
purchase on a piece of
yeah,
cardboard, but I didn't really know what I wanted to start collecting when I bought that. My original idea was just all-time great players. So I had the
yeah,
Kobe one, I had the Dennis Rodman in Bulls, had Bill Russell on card flawless auto,
yeah.
all this sort of shit. And when I started collecting more, I decided I had to narrow it down somehow. Like I couldn't. There was
I
just
agree. Yeah,
yeah,
it happens, doesn't it? You get to this certain point, and
hundred
you're like,
percent.
shit. I'm over
And
here
I'm
in
like, I love
UFC. I'm over here
diehard
in
Lakers
NFL.
fan, bro. Yeah,
Yeah,
so I've got. I haven't shown this to anyone, but I've got like 30 Lakers jerseys as well. Like I'm big time Lakers, and I
yeah.
thought I'm going to sell all the stuff that I already have that's not Lakers, and that's just what I'm going to target. And
Good
the
idea.
original idea was to get like one autograph of like all the big time Lakers, like Kareem, Magic, Worthy, Baylor,
Yeah,
etc. The ones that are
yeah,
affordable, obviously, Wilt. That's just not very likely, and
yeah,
that sort of stuff. But and once I did that, I'm like, what else do I do? So I started collecting Kobe rookies during lockdown last year. That was before they went crazy.
yeah,
So just heaps I've got pretty much every Kobe rookie apart from the Topps Chrome big boy one. And then after I did that, I'm like, what next? So I just started adding just players I didn't have, just random players, like role players. Like everyone's kind of seen my collection. They know it's like I can get anyone from a Kareem Abdul-Jabbar to a Jody Meeks on card auto, and just
yeah.
like just that
That's
sort
what
of
I like
stuff. And
about it, though.
yeah,
I
hundred
like it. Like
percent.
I collect a lot of Philadelphia Eagles stuff in the NFL, and I'm the same. Like some of these old cards from like they're not so much autographed, but they're like the old like 60s and 70s and 80s, and they're just these just funky dudes that I've never even seen them play the
Yeah,
game,
hundred
but
percent.
like they're just old school cards. It's fun
Yeah,
to
for
watch that.
sure, man. So yeah, and like as I go through, like I always just think, how can I keep going? Like I had one, like I already have like 15 Magic autos and that. I just sort of move to like play the player and that sort of stuff, and think maybe I only have 4 autos of Derek Fisher. Maybe I could get a non-card one this time, and
Yeah,
that's the stuff. Like I don't know. Like eventually, I'll probably end up down the track selling like stuff that I like sticker autos or just stuff that I think I could move to upgrade and that sort of
you
stuff.
can
But
refine it. Yeah,
yeah,
because
hundred
I
percent.
think
Like
that's what a lot of happens with a lot of people when they kick off into the hobby in general, no matter what they're sort of delving in. One of the first
yeah,
things you do is you go in a couple of like cheap breaks. They're like, I don't know, $10, $15, something like that. And it's like, right, I'm going to get in and I hope I get some cards. The
yeah,
first couple you get nothing and you're like, oh, this is bullshit,
yeah.
blah, blah,
That's
blah.
it,
But you
man.
learn as you go. But I think
hundred
once
percent.
you spread your wings out early and you get all these different cards, then you've sort of got to bring it back in again, which
Yeah, exactly right. So
even
like
though it's
yeah,
early
even like with
breakers, you
breaks
can,
and stuff, man. Like I like everyone that knows me, I never go in breaks. But like last year, I went into heaps of breaks. Like I'm always just changing what I'm doing.
yeah,
Like I had heaps of Zion and Jar and stuff last year that I sold
yeah,
to
right.
get Lakers stuff and that. I jump in heaps of Razzes and stuff now as well. Like just big cards that I can't afford outright. I just
Yeah,
jump
I'm with
into a
you.
Raz and that sort of stuff as well. But I'm thinking as well, maybe just jumping into random Razzes of just like Zion or Jar or whoever's next Mellow, and if I win one
Yeah,
of them, sell it and go put that towards my collection, sort of thing. So
yeah,
just always changing up what I'm doing, sort of thing.
yeah. No, it's super cool. Is the one you were talking about before? You said it was like about $300 originally.
Oh
Was
yeah,
that the
you probably
was that the Kobe one, the innovation with the
yeah
black with the silver? Yeah, I'll
yeah.
show it on
I've
the
got it on
screen because
stand. Oh, you probably put it up there, but I've got it. Yeah, just
yeah.
I've got this one
Oh, you got the
here.
real deal. Yeah,
I've
you
got
got
the
the real
real deal,
deal.
mate.
I got the
Um,
digital.
It looks better on that photo. I've got a sleeve on top of the card, and then the top of the one touches on it. But yeah,
Yeah,
man, like
right.
I look at that card now, and anyone would look at that card and go, "Holy shit, that's a huge card." And back when I bought
Yeah,
it for $300, man, I was like, "Holy shit, I can't believe I just spent $300 on this." And the
yeah.
people would be
That's
killing
crazy.
like for a card for $300 like that now.
Because
But
when
it's
you
just
hold
what
it
it
in your
is,
hand, it's
eh?
like, really, this is my $300. Like, there's not much to it. If you're into it,
Exactly,
you're
man.
into
But
it.
like
But I
yeah,
wouldn't
like
give you
I've always been
320
big
for it, by
on.
the way.
Who said that? 320, Liam.
Liam,
Yeah,
profit.
like
That's profit.
when I was a kid and that, like growing up, I used to just love autograph memorabilia of anything. Like I'm a big Newcastle Knights fan. I was already telling you this earlier.
Yeah.
That's in the NRL, and I'd love getting my jersey signed by like the whole team on like team days. And I'm a
Yeah.
big wrestling fan as well. Like no one really knows this. I haven't told anyone about this. So this might be a
Yeah.
deal breaker for some of my mates, but big wrestling fan. I've got
Whatever.
shitloads of
Yeah.
signed 8x10s of wrestlers and that sort of
Yeah.
stuff.
Right.
And like just always I find like I don't know, like the autograph on like for one of your favorite like your idols sort of thing, to me it's like a moment out of their life they took to sign
Yeah.
that thing. And to
Yeah.
me it's that special. So
It's funny you say
that's
that
kind of what
because
I collect.
the
Yeah.
mug that I'm drinking out of every week may have a
Yeah.
few less kilos there, mate, but that's me at Staples Center. That's me at Staples
Yeah.
Center going to my first ever game, and that was to
Crazy.
just basically sit two seats behind the Lakers bench and watch Kobe do his thing was crazy. And for
Yeah.
me, that mug, my mate got me that mug. He just goes, dude, I've known you for 20 plus years. He goes, that's the happiest I've ever seen you. So I'm going to get you this mug. Now the mug itself, I don't know, it's
Yeah, exactly.
mug, who cares? But you're right, it's like a moment.
It's what it means
It's a
to you,
moment.
eh? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Looks like Blake's another Knights supporter, so you definitely got an
It's
ally
a
there.
tough job, mate. It's a tough job being a Knights supporter.
I don't know shit about NRL. I always just say to people, like
Yeah.
being in Melbourne, I always just say, oh mate, I only take notice of the NRL when it's finals and the Storm are about to win again. And people
That's
get
it.
shitty at me because they're like, you fucking dickhead. You don't even follow it, mate. And it's
Yeah,
completely true.
100%.
But no,
No,
it's
yeah, like big time Knight
good fun.
supporter. So growing up, big time sport. When I was like younger, like primary school, I never played team sport. So I was
Yeah, right.
always tennis, athletics, like individual
Oh,
sort of
individual
stuff.
stuff. Yep.
But I think it was just because I was like a shitty kid. Like I just didn't like sharing. Like I'm not like just a ball hog sort of kid, and probably still am really to today. But as a coach as
No
well, like
excuse.
you see the other side to it, and that's just basketball. Just such an amazing game, man. Like I just love
Yeah,
it. Like
it's the best. It's the best. I've played since I was
100%.
8, and I just turned 43 not long ago. So it's like still kicking around. We went and played some
Yeah,
basketball today, just down in Westgate. They've got a like a 3-on-3. It's like 2 courts. It's pretty cool, like setup. It's like a factory type setup. But yeah, went down
yeah.
there and shot hoops for like an hour. It's like, oh Jesus,
The
this
best day.
lockdown's
Just takes your mind off
crushing me.
everything.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it does. It does. It's
so
like
good.
I always
Nothing
used to watch
better.
Michael Jordan on the old, Michael Jordan's Playground and Airtime and all these
Yeah,
videos. And he'd always do the narrative of like, oh, it's like, oh, it's my psychologist, it gets me away from everything. And as a kid, you would repeat that, and it's just hilarious
yeah.
now as an adult. It's like you didn't need to get away from anything as a kid, like you're just right there.
100%. That's it.
But it was
Yeah,
it was good fun. But you got Jack in
yeah,
the comments too. I know Jack's a big Lakers fan, so he'd be another fan of what you got going on.
yeah. Nice. Yeah,
He
big time.
entered
When I started following it, it was like I was like 12, so that's like 07, 08. So that was like the start of the dynasty, I guess, of that Kobe and Gasol Lakers team. And I got to watch like some of the best basketball I've ever seen, man. Like that team, I love that team. That Bynum, you got Derek Fisher, Ron Artest. Like
yeah.
I posted something in the group the other day about me completing like that autograph sort of that team
Oh,
pretty much having the
because you got
one
an test
auto.
one not long ago. Did you get
Oh,
that
bro,
not
it
long
was
ago?
so hard to find that test one. You wouldn't believe it. It's funny when you're like a collector of like you're collecting certain things, like very specific, how hard it is to find like the most obscure players. Like you think like,
Yeah,
test, who cares about him? But like I had to pay like $150 for that sticker or whatever on our test, but just do it, eh? Like when you're so invested in it,
I'll
you
bring it
need it
up
to
just because
complete it, eh?
I'll bring up your screen like that many times, bro, because you're like your photos and everything are so good. So I'll more than likely bring this up about 300
Yeah,
times
that
throughout
one,
the year.
man. I
It's so good though.
I was pesterizing, I think every group, like people in the chat probably know
Yeah,
I'm like a big time pest. Just every month or so I'd put up like anyone got our test autos, and
yeah, right.
I found one on eBay, and it was like for someone handed it, I think it was China or something. This was like $500. I'm like, all right, they're rare. Like I know I've never seen one before, but $500,
Yeah,
man, come on. And
yeah.
someone
But
actually
like,
reached out to me and had this this one, and he had another one exactly the same, but it was a prime patch. So it actually like a
Right.
3-color Lakers patch.
Oh, yeah.
He's like, mate, I know obviously you're a diehard, so I'll sell you this one. I'm like,
Yeah, that's
legendary.
cool.
So I just love that part of the hobby. Like I didn't even know, man. Like as I said, when I bought that Kobe card 5 years ago, I didn't know there was like people were this heavily invested into it. Like there's full on
Yeah,
groups of thousands of people about like
yeah.
collecting cards. Only 2 years ago, man, I actually like joined one of the groups. I had no idea about any of this sort of stuff really, but it's awesome how everyone's kind of got your back, I guess. Like they
Yeah, I've had a heap of
they
different
help you out, yeah.
situations. Yeah, a heap of different situations with stuff like that too, where I've been on both sides of it. Like someone will sort of say, "Oh, one guy, I gave him a shout out on one of the other episodes, but Jersey Joe, we call him, and he happened to hit a duplicate from that Panini One NFL breaks, and it was Jalen Hurts from the Philadelphia Eagles, and it was a rookie patch auto to like either 199 or 149, beautiful card. And he just hit me up and he just goes, "Oh, Hendo, you're an Eagles guy, yeah?" I said, "Yeah." I go, "What's up though? Like, what? Huh? What are you talking about?" He's like, "Oh, I want to send you this. I want you to have it." I'm like,
yeah, it's crazy, yeah.
I can't just have it. I go, that's got to be, I don't know, even best case, like 300, 400 bucks. Like, come on, man. And he's like, no. He goes, if you find me something one day, great. If you don't worry about it. I'm like, Jesus. So you end up passing it on. You end up sort of passing it on to the next person, And you just hope that it does. It all works out. But it's like, yeah, there's a lot of camaraderie. I'm writing a little, I don't know. I try and sort of put down what I'm experiencing into words just on the blog and all that sort of thing. And I'm trying to just put together something on like, why do we collect?
Yeah.
Everyone's got a different reason for it. Like no matter what you're collecting, it does something to you, and all the people around you are pretty good eggs about it. So it's been interesting to think about.
That's why I do so many giveaways, bro. Like I'm big on paying things forward and like good karma and that sort of stuff. Like, and I love it. Like I do it because like it's everyone's like supporting me, man. Like when someone like tags me in something, that I've got most of my groups on mute because I've got a bad habit of just going overboard. So, but when someone tags me in something, so I see it like before I obviously see it or it's gone on my newsfeed. Like it's big time, mate. I just like, it's just awesome little community, especially in Australia. Big time about getting behind Aussie pages, yeah.
Yeah, one of our pals, Chesh, he was on an earlier episode. He's been getting into collecting LJ Larry Johnson cards, and for me, it's like my age as well. It's like a Larry Johnson or any sort of Charlotte Hornets card. Like it stands out like dog's balls because it's an old. Even though they're back to being the Hornets, it's like there's memories in a bottle from back on those LJ, Alonzo Mourning, Muggsy Bogues type days. So. But by default, if everyone's scrolling through and someone's like, I'm just getting rid of all my shitty 90s cards, let me know if you want anything. I scroll through even though I don't want anything. And anytime I see Larry Johnson, I just tag, make sure.
Yeah, 100%. I always do that too, eh? Like when like it's good when you know what everyone else is collecting and that sort of stuff. And it doesn't take too long. Like it only takes like a month or something, and you start talking to people and that's just all it starts. Like you just tag someone and just chat to them about what they collect and that sort of stuff, and then you've got their back sort of thing if something pops up. So make sure they see it. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, Baz just Buzz City baby, big time Hornets collector. So he's always tagging me in Lakers stuff. I'm always tagging him in Hornets stuff. It's good. Cool. Yeah,
it is good. And I think one of the things I found, and I guess it's going to sound a bit weird, but it's something that I think the hobby has to be a little bit careful of. Is like I'm massive into sneakers. Like I have just too many pairs of shoes, bit of it, not as many as I used to, but a few like Kobe's and stuff still boxed up and all that sort of shit. And the thing that really started to shit me about the sneaker game was that it became like who's got the better bots, who's trying to just buy up everything. Like they might be a size 10 and they buy like all the size 14s and then try and sell them for 5 times the price. And it's just like it got really toxic. And like even though I still love sneakers, still love shoes, I've like completely just left. I couldn't tell you what the next releases are. I couldn't tell you when new Jordans are coming out. I couldn't give a shit anymore just because it got so weird. So it's one of those things with the hobby. I think it could go that way, but there's
sometimes it does already, man. Like you see people like the EB Games box releases are a perfect example of that. Right. Everyone sweeps them up, and then they're on those groups, bro, and they're selling them for like 5 times. But I
They
guess
get called out though.
it's always going to be like that, I guess, in most things, but just one of those things,
Yeah,
I guess.
people I think get called out a little bit more at the moment in the hobby. They get called out for, like, as much as I hate hearing the word comps,
Yeah.
like as much as I hate hearing it, I think it's a necessary evil because at least it keeps everyone sort of on the idea that
It doesn't need to be right on comps either. Like, it doesn't need to be someone sold it for $350, whatever it is. It has to sell. That's the price. That's the value. Like, you can go higher or lower on that, but it just gives you, like, exactly as you said, it gives you sort of a bearing on the worth of it, and so that they're there so people don't just rip people off, sort of thing.
Yeah, and I think the other thing that it can kind of do, like if I'm ever like I've got something that's for sale, I'll just say, hey, does anyone want to buy this? This is the price, and
Yeah.
you can always haggle and talk about
100%.
it. But it's when someone will go, oh, like, you know, what's comps on it? I'm like, I don't know. You look it up if you want to compare it and see if you're buying the right shit. Go and look it up. I'm not doing it.
Yeah,
I
exactly
want
right.
$100 for this. You can tell me to fuck
for
off
sure, man.
or you can give me $100.
Exactly right. Exactly right. Well,
So
they're useful in that, but I don't. Yeah, I don't sell enough, so I don't really have to deal with it too much. I'm just buying. Yeah, 100%. Did you
Kai
guys
said
see the
he's got some
Lakers
Lakers
orders?
autos he posted on Instagram. I don't know where Kai's Instagram is.
I think so. I saw are they the KCP ones? If they were, I've got the optic one, and it's such a sick card.
Right.
I love it, man. I'm big time. I loved so if there's a successful sort of Lakers team like last year or like the '09, I just love stocking up on that sort of stuff. Even if it's like people like KCP, they get grilled in the finals and the playoffs. I love the bloke. Like,
but they're on the Lakers.
I've got. Yeah, if they're on the Lakers, man, I don't care. Like, even if they suck, and I'll flat out say, like, Kyle Kuzma, don't like Kuzma one bit. Like, everyone knows that. All my mates hate him. Think he's an absolute goose. But I've still got a Kuzma auto because I need it. Like, he's a Laker.
I don't want it. I just need it.
No, like, and I'll probably buy another one. Like, it's just the way it is, eh? Like, I love all Lakers autos. So, like, if I see a KCP or something that someone post, I'm all about it, eh? I reckon it's awesome.
It's good though, I think, like, to have those sort of diversities in what we collect, because even if it's otherwise we'd all be going for the same shit. Like we'd all
100%.
Like maybe the sneakers is a good example, strangely enough. But maybe we're all going to go for a pair of, bread Jordan 4s. Like everyone wants the one thing, like a seagull. Whereas at least now it's like, well, if I'm going after an old Randall Cunningham card, you're probably going to go whatever. That's Philadelphia Eagles. I'm not interested. We're both not fighting over the same stuff. So Kai said here it's 2 times KCP, Gal Village, and another.
I saw him, bro. I'm very jealous, and I'm even more jealous because you posted how much you paid for him, and it was awesome. Absolute steals, bro.
I'm gonna look it up. That way we can.
Yeah, I think he posted the Goodrich today. I could be wrong. Don't hate me. I think I saw it today. So
we got.
Yeah, I've got heaps of Goodrich. I've got crap loads of him. Always looking to buy Goodrich. Always looking to buy any of the sort of players that have their jerseys in the rafters for Lakers. That's what I'm about most of the time. But if I see someone that I don't have, I'll snap that up too.
Yeah, I like it. There you go. That's what we're looking at.
Yeah, that iMac one's sick.
Yeah, how cool! I remember I got the very first NBA jersey I ever got was when a mate of mine went to the States on one of those like basketball camp tour type things.
Yeah.
And he went to see Lakers games and Clippers games, and he came back. He brought me a Eddie Jones number 25 champion jersey before he had to change it because I'm
big time Eddie Jones fan too. He's an absolute cheat code on 2K. Absolute cheat code. Love that team. Love that Nick Van Exel, Eddie Jones, Shaq, and Kobe. Most underrated 2K team, I'm telling you right now. Nick Van Exel, he's like, he doesn't miss. He gives him the ball, he's cashing it.
I used to always use, way back in the day, I used to use Walt Williams. And he had the long socks, number 42, and he used to just camp in the corner and just splash through all the time. And I was like, I felt like a king. Every time I played, I was just like, yeah, I'm smashing anyone with this team. So that was good. You always find these like weird players that that aren't meant to. If you go way back in the history of NBA Live, you could go back to a time where basically you'd hit like the square button or whatever, and players would just jump backwards like this and just dunk it. And like guys like John Stockton, Jeff Hornacek, like 6'2", 6'4" guards would just
getting
fly
up
backwards and dunk. It was like this AI shit. But
yeah, big time. I missed the 2K days.
One of the questions I wanted to ask you, which is it's always a hard one, whether someone's into the Lakers or not. I was going to say top 5, but I suppose it's too hard to put 5 people. But do you have like an all-time favorite Laker? It's just
all-time favorite Laker. Well, we all know the answer is obviously Kobe, but as far as ranking, my ranking's probably different to most people. I've got Kobe 1, all-time favorite. Like, I grew up watching Kobe, so to me, he was like the best thing ever, and I hated anyone that said, it's funny because I love LeBron now, obviously, because he just won a ring for the Lakers. But anyone that said LeBron was better than Kobe, I was ready to throw hands with. So Kobe, 100%, number 1. Number 2, I would go Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Like, this might get controversial, just because this is my opinion.
It actually doesn't matter because it's just your opinion, so you can't be wrong. Put it that way.
Exactly right. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, I reckon he's top 3 player of all time. You just look at his resume, man. It's just unbelievable. Like what he did in college, what he did in the NBA. He won Finals MVP in 1971, and then another Finals MVP in 1985. Like that's just longevity, incredible. Him, number 2. Number 3, Magic Johnson. For obvious reasons, just one of the most amazing, entertaining players to ever watch. Some of the stuff he did back then, people do it now and go crazy about it. Like before all this sort of like YouTube street ball sort of stuff that everyone got hooked on, like he was doing that in the league, man, against grown men. So him, number 3. Number 4 is Shaq. I don't really need to elaborate too much on that. He's just all-time beast, man. Like imagine trying to guard him in the post. It'd just be a nightmare. To him, 4, and then 5. 5's very tough.
It's always the hardest spot because you don't want to forget someone.
Yeah, I've read him, like you could say Jerry West. You could make an argument for James Worthy, but I'd go Wilt. Just the novelty of Wilt just stands out big time. One of the just crazy, like 100 points in the game, man. It's just unbelievable.
I find the list really funny sometimes because you can have like who someone's favorites are. It's like you can't argue that. If
exactly.
Someone was to say who the best ever Laker was, it's like, oh well, people can grab some stats. They can make a case, whichever way they want to.
100%.
You can't argue it because you've got some stuff that you could use. But yeah, when it just comes to like who's your favorite player to watch.
Low-key player, though, the one that one of my favourites ever to watch, Shannon Brown. I don't know if anyone remembers that guy. He was on the 09-10 team, and he was a highlight reel, man. I loved him.
That block he did. Oh, you know the block I mean. It was like he was like a springboard, and he just pinned it 2 hands against the backboard.
I think it got called for a goaltend. I'm pretty sure something foul. One of the 2.
Foul. Because
that's the one.
Looking up at
he got pinged for a foul for it. He swatted the ball against the backboard. I think he got him with the body a bit. But I was devastated when he signed with Cleveland. I was just distraught. Like it does. Like nowadays, like I look back on it and think how silly I was. Like he was just like a 10th person off the bench. But I loved him, mate. So
I like a lot of the role guys. I mean, back when I was quite a young buck and watching like the Chicago Bulls of Jordan when they first won a title, and even the role players from those teams like Randy Brown or Judd Buechler or Steve Kerr, or like they all have their own sort of novelty to them. And if you saw they moved teams, you're like, I'm not.
Yeah, exactly right. Like even last year, man, Dwight Howard. I hated Dwight Howard because I loved him on the Magic, and then he came to the Lakers, and I was so excited, legit so excited. And as everyone knows, that's probably one of the most disappointing teams of all time. Absolutely plagued by injury. There's not too much we could have done. Like Steve Nash was out for like half the season. Gasol was down. Kobe was down. Dwight himself was battling. I'm pretty sure out of all of those 4 players, he played the most, and he was probably the most highly criticised out of all of them. He was battling bad back issues. So, like, as a young fan, when we got all four of those players together, I was like championship, and I was that pissed when we didn't win it because I probably hated him more than I should have. But
They've
I
got
loved him
that.
last year. Yeah,
Yeah, I think Nash's back was cooked by then too, so it was
yeah,
like
big time.
it
Oh,
was up
that
against it.
was in hindsight, it was an absolutely red flag everywhere trade. That I think they just did it
Yeah,
just to somewhat try and match the Heat on paper as far as star power. I
yeah,
think
quite
when they
possibly.
acquired all of those guys, they were like, it's going to be. Everyone probably agrees. Everyone thought it was probably going to be Lakers Heat in the finals. But
Everyone
not
wanted
to be.
a Kobe LeBron finals too. So even if you thought
100%.
someone else could get there, you would
We were
still
robbed of that.
try
Yeah,
and predict your way to it. The
100%.
Lakers obviously have had their fair share of good swings out of the swings and roundabouts.
Yeah.
But yeah, that in 2004 were both pretty
Oh, big
bad.
time.
Carmelo getting
2004.
injured and
Same thing. Yeah, 100%.
mm,
It's just funny, and it's like I'm big on before the season starts in NBA. I honestly think anything's sort of possible because everyone
mm,
jumps to the conclusions. Like last year, everyone's like Brooklyn winning, and as a Lakers fan, I'm obviously going, nah, mate, we've got it back to back, all that sort of stuff. But like people, like even like me, like jump out and say, like, who thought there was going to be Milwaukee and Suns this year?
oh
Anything can
yeah,
happen.
no,
Like injury is such a big thing in sport,
yeah,
and it just makes it interesting. Like I've loved this year. Like I hate to admit it, like having the Suns and the Bucks, two very small market teams, show that
yeah,
they
it
can
was
get to
cool.
finals with just building through the draft in theory and just signing
Yeah,
a couple of players that anyone could have signed. Like anyone could have signed a Chris Middleton like 2 years ago.
yeah,
Anyone could like nearly anyone with the money could have signed Paul this offseason, really. Like
yeah. I think it's
it's
cool.
just
Like
good.
we had a little basketball website going back about 10 years, and I remember one of the I guess the arguments or conversations we had was just my point was there are certain franchises that you can look at and you know that for the next 10 years they're not winning a title. And
Yeah.
my mate at the time, he was saying, nah, that's bullshit. Like with the draft and with the way you can retool, he goes, that's untrue. But my whole point was back then, I was like, look, you can look at someone like, and I mentioned Milwaukee at the time. It was like, you look at Milwaukee, you look at Minnesota. At the time, it was the Charlotte Bobcats, I think. You look at Charlotte, you look at Atlanta, you even look at Detroit. It's like you look at these certain teams and you just go, there is no runway for them in the next 10 years. I'm comfortable with it. And I think
Yeah.
Milwaukee snuck in around the 12 year mark to pitch their title. So well played. But yeah, I think it's like that. I like Jack's five as well. So Kareem, Magic, Kobe,
I
Shaq,
do.
and
Oh, I
LeBron.
can't believe how did LeBron slip my mind? Like he would
Well, he's going to wear number six now, so you put him in at number six. That's fine.
I have to get some masking tape, and no one would believe me this unless I actually grabbed it out of the wardrobe. But I actually have a Jordan Clarkson Lakers jersey, number 6. I need to get masking tape out, put that over the name and write James, and I need to get the Kuzma one out. No one would believe I have a Kuzma jersey and put the Westbrook on the back of it.
Yeah, I've got to do that. I've got a Swaggy P jersey that I bought at the
Oh,
stadium.
mate,
So
that's
that
awesome.
went from zero to
Love
then
me
it's
some
gone
Swaggy
to
P.
yeah, it's gone to I remember watching the game back on League Pass when I got home, and Swaggy hit like 5 threes in that game. Kobe didn't do heaps, but I was just like, just standing there, jaw to the floor. And
Yeah.
Swaggy P hit I think 5 threes in that game, and at one point he just launched some stupid, and I just stand up with it.
As a coach, man, I look at him now. Like when I was younger, I loved him because he's just buckets, right? But you look at him and go, "Fuck, he would have been one of the hardest players to coach because he can just go out there and just bang 5 triples out of nowhere." But like most of the time, they're terrible shots. Like they're shots you are not telling anyone to shoot.
That's the
Those
life of a
players are so
coach,
good
though,
for the
because
game. You
you
know
look.
what I mean?
Yeah, but that's the life of a coach. You look and you go, no,
100%.
good shot.
Yeah,
Great shot.
100%, man. I'm guilty. It's 100% like doing it from the sidelines as well. You always, but like those players are so important because they're what the fans want to see. You know what I mean? So like from the viewing point of it, like it's amazing. And even as the playing part of it, like if you've got the guy like Swaggy P and you need a bucket, you're looking good. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I think the fun thing about it too is that you get to a point where you need some personality in a game.
Oh, for sure.
Dog starts barking. You need personality in a game, and so like if there's someone there that's just robotic and they don't say anything, they don't do anything. If they hit 4 threes in a row, like people are going to be like, okay, cool. Like they'll match the same intensity. Whereas if you got someone who hits 1 3 and then they're running down the court like this, it's like First of all, 100%. It's like you hit 1 3, but then when they hit someone like that hits 2 or 3 in a row, all of a sudden the crowd gets up and about, and it just everything fuels it. I reckon it's a good thing. You need the personality. Yeah. You can't have all these robots.
Yeah, 100%. There's plenty of personalities out there now.
Yeah, well, my partner's young fella, they were in a game just before the most recent lockdown anyway, and they were in this game. They were down by 44, I think. It was about 40. They were getting flogged. And this one of his teammates, he got like an and one, and he gets down. And he's like flexing and all this. I'm like, man, flex when you get up by 2. Don't flex when you're down by 40. Kids love it though. All right, so one of the things we're going to touch on, just obviously it's a pretty sort of shitty subject, but like with Kobe's obviously untimely death, it's obviously thrown a spanner into the works of pretty much all basketball fans, but just in terms of like the jaw hitting the floor and wondering what the hell's going on. But like, yeah, I mean, talk us through that. What did I mean, I'm tipping you probably remember where you were and everything where you found out.
Yeah, okay. So it was crazy for me because I went to the day before. Well, we woke up to the news, obviously. Like we woke up to it in the morning. The day before, I was in Sydney and I was at the Kings game. I forget who they were playing. I think it was Kings and Taipans or something. And before that happened, the game was, we were at one of the pubs around where the stadium is. We're watching the Lakers versus Philadelphia, and LeBron James just passed Kobe Bryant in scoring.
Yeah.
And that was crazy. And like Kobe tweeted like, "Oh, congrats, all that." And I was like, "That's awesome!" Like the greatest Laker of all time, tweeting someone who's pretty much just come in. And like the story about LeBron and Kobe and him like supporting that was just crazy. Anyway, my brother walked in. I was woken up by my brother the next morning. Walked in and he said something like, "Dude, Kobe just died," and I was like.
And you're like, fuck, thanks, bro.
I was like, no way. What, are you kidding me? Like, there's like the worst troll ever. Like, you want? I'm like, terrible joke, bro. Like, he just passed LeBron in scoring. And I checked my phone, and I had that many messages from so many people saying, "Bro, can you believe it?" And I legit shed tears, man, because I didn't know. I cried. Like, he was like the biggest part of me liking basketball as a kid. He's the reason my job is to coach kids now, and it is very heavily involved in basketball, and that's all because of Kobe, really. So I was devastated, man. I was shook for a long time, for like a month, I would say. I would
argue that it's still shaking now. Like I still feel shook sometimes.
You just watch something and you hear his name. Yeah.
Yeah, you hear
someone says his name, like the late great Kobe, and you're like, you just still can't believe it.
Exactly, you know what I mean? It's exactly it, and so look, I was the same. I basically woke up, walked to the other end of the house. I suppose a lot of people do this. They'll just go and sit on the shitter and check the news.
Yeah.
And I had a message from my mum, funnily enough, and she just wrote. She goes, "I'm so sorry, mate. Like I know you love Kobe," and I'm like, "What the fuck does that mean?" So I'm like, my heart started pumping, and I'm like, "What? What does that mean?" And then I looked up the news, and it was just, I spiraled from there. I was like, what the hell is going on? It's not real life. And then when you find
crazy, man,
there's kids involved and everything, I'm just
like, oh. When I think like the part that really rocked me was his daughter was like obviously on the helicopter, and that just like, I've like followed Kobe very heavily, and I knew how much like that relationship between him and that particular Gianna, like, and she was going to be something special, man. Like, she was a killer. Like, she was going to revolutionize women's basketball in such a positive way, because all of us that like, and I'm not one of these. I like respect women's basketball like crazy. I think they're better basketball players than us because they're like so to the point, and skill wise they work so much harder than us. But like the casual fan, right, that will never watch a WNBA game, would watch one because Gianna Bryant's playing, right? It would have just done so much positive stuff and that rocked me, man. I'm like, you're kidding. Like, that was his whole life, man. His whole life was living through his daughter after he retired. Like, that was his next chapter. And I was like,
it still feels like just really super weird. Which I mean, again, don't want to sort of spend hours on it, but at the same time, it's like I reckon it's legitimately, it still affects me in the sense that it's like remembering an embarrassing moment. You don't think about it every day, but then when you think about it, you sort of feel embarrassed again.
100%.
It's the same with this. It's like you just sort of remind yourself, and I sometimes just find myself staring, just going, I don't get it. How is that even possible? It makes no sense.
Yeah, exactly. It's just crazy. And we'll never we'll never see old Kobe. Like we'll always just remember Kobe for what he was. Like it's just crazy.
Yeah, it's a weird one. I remember that Lee Olsen, so Shift Refresh on Twitter. He's a wicked designer, and he actually did a picture of Shaq and Kobe where they were both old and grey. So like he did like an art piece or whatever, and Shaq got a hold of it and actually thanked. He's like, "Thank you, Mr. Olsen." Actually sent him a message, and he bought the print off him, but like massive size for his house. And it was a really weird moment because everyone was still fully shook. But this guy had this guy had done the picture, and Shaq saw it and loved it, and which is pretty cool.
Yeah, big time.
So, Maggie's getting impatient. He's talking about the F1s tonight. We'll get to the F1s. Maggie, like, probably won't spend a whole lot of time on it, but we will get to it. I'm sure a few people want to place a couple of bets on who's going to spin out first. It's always the way. So I suppose moving through to it's on the back of that. It's obviously a connected point that everyone knows about, but like that Lakers season with obviously all the memorials, all the tributes, all the everything for Kobe, and then having to sort of shoulder that and then go through the season. What the bubble, like it's just crazy, like what that whole year was. It's
100%.
Like anytime any of those guys think that, this is really hard or this is really difficult, I think they can look at that season and go, well, we got everything that year and we came out the other side.
People say it was like a bubble championship and say all this sort of stuff like it was easy. I'm like, man, for any team in the NBA, if it ever was harder to like someone else, it would have been the Lakers, mate. Like the pressure on their team to win that year before all that, like the COVID stuff, was like incredible anyway. And then they were the first seed in the West. They lost home crowd advantage. So it was neutralised. The teams that they played against wouldn't have to deal with the Lakers crazy fans, just all that sort of stuff. And I'm like, mate, like LeBron, like that ring, in my opinion, like nearly counts as 2 rings because how hard it was, really.
I've always sort of I've said the same thing since that season sort of wrapped up, in the sense that some people say it's an asterisk. It's like,
man, no way.
Okay. You can have an asterisk on it, but if anything, I think that means that it was harder. Like it's an asterisk saying it was harder, not an asterisk saying it was easier. Because like, I've never been a Spurs fan in my life, and I must admit, back in the day as a kid, whenever I did a fantasy draft, I would go out of my way to put the Jazz, the Spurs, and the Mavericks. It was always those 3. I'd put them at the bottom of the fantasy draft order so that they would always get, in my eyes, they would always get shit players. But when people shit on the Spurs for winning in '99 and they're like, it's an asterisk, it's like, nah, I think people thought it for a while because no one had ever had a non-82 game season. But the longer we go now, we're always going to have, different. I don't know, the way COVID's going, we're going to have different amounts of games or different.
Yeah, for sure.
Whatever. I don't think the asterisk. Like, you still got to win all the games. You've still got to get through.
100%. You can only play what's in front of you. Like, it's not the team's fault.
Exactly. So yeah, I think it's misplaced to say things have got asterisks unless you're willing to admit that it would have been more difficult. Being in a bubble, being away from family, no crowd, very weird.
Yeah, 100%. Most of the time, it's just Celtics fans anyway, so you just deal with it.
Yeah, I want to show some of your cards off because I know you'll have
a
story.
I've got them. I didn't know if you wanted me to show them off here or that. I've got it all on standby here too.
I don't mind. You can show whatever.
Whatever, bro. We look better on these photos anyway. Like this is just. That was a big one. Where have I got that one?
This one grabbed me when you posted about this. It's actually on my birthday, funnily enough. Yeah, there it is. Yeah. It
Yeah.
was I remember looking at it and I just thought, fuck me, it must have taken a long time to find that, because Rodman played for a lot of teams in the end, but
Yeah.
he didn't play with the Lakers for long. So it's
23 games for the Lakers.
no shit. I didn't know it was that little.
Yeah, 23 games. He averaged, I think it was 11 rebounds or something. So pretty decent little stint. But yeah, I like, as I said before, big time on like the obscure sort of players. Like if there's someone that's like a Hall of Fame level player that's ever played in the Lakers, I need like some sort of card of that player. And I've always known this one was out there, but I'm pretty sure there's only 15. So there's this one which is numbered to 10, and then there's the green foil variant numbered to 5. And I'd never honestly thought I would ever get one, and it popped up on the auctions page the other day, and I'm like, whatever. I need, like, I've got to set a budget because I can't go bananas, but I will go hard for this one, and I got it, and just stoked. I don't know the next time you'll see one of them.
Because I think budgeting is one of the best things you can do. I think it's the best thing you can do in the hobby, because it is easy for it to get away. But would a card like this be the type where you would go, okay, I've got X amount of dollars as a budget.
Yeah.
I'll use 2 cards budget on this one, and then I won't get something else. Like, is that how you look at it?
Yeah, I kind of go. I'm one of the most, like, everyone that knows me, I'm one of the most undisciplined people when it comes to cards ever. Like, I'll say, I'm pretty sure I messaged like 3 people yesterday that I was retiring from Razzers like 5 different times during the day. I'm like, nah, I'm done with Razzers. And then like an hour later, I'm like jumping into 3 more. But like, if I buy a big card, like this one was pretty expensive, I just won't buy a big card for a few weeks. Like, I'll be done for, like, that's kind of how I do it. Like, I know when to stop, sort of thing. But I set a budget for this one. I'm like, if it goes over this sort of price, I'll just live with not having it, because it's just, in my eyes, not worth it. But I'm just happy it didn't get close to it. So
that's good. I've had a couple of occasions where I've been trying to get particular cards, and it'll end up being a case of like, okay, like let's use the number 100 as an example. It's like $100. That's it. I'm not going over. And then you sit there and you look at it. You're bidding on it when it's like 15, and you're like, oh shit, everyone's waiting till the end. Shit. And then in the end, it goes for like $28, and you're like, yes. It's like,
yeah, 100%.
Pay more.
Yeah, I usually get the other end of the stick. Like yesterday, I was on eBay, and I saw there was like 5 Revolution. I don't know if anyone else knows this, but there's like 5 other Revolution autos. There was a Worthy and a Gary Payton in Lakers, and they were on card. And then there was like a Karl Anthony Towns and Oladipo. I think it was Harrison Barnes. And at the time, it was like a $70 bid. I'm like licking my lips. I'm like, I'm going to snag this. And it was even better because it didn't have any of the players in the description. It was just, there's something like 2017 Revolution autos. That was like the caption. I'm like, no one's going to search that up. So like, I'm onto it. And I said, like, I waited for like 6 seconds left on eBay, and I like went 120, and then like it went bang all the way up to like 230. I'm like, holy shit. Right. Everyone else is the same idea. Everyone else is onto it.
I find that with misspelling names as well is always good, because I
big
PC
time.
a young Formula 1 or Formula 2 driver, Giuliano Alesi, and you spell his name GIU to start his name, and the amount of times you look up GUI at the start of his name, and you'll find cards there and no one's bidding on it.
Yeah.
So it's Michael Jordan with a JORDON. There'll be a few cheeky ones getting around.
Yeah, for sure.
Right. So we'll go. We've done that one. That's the next one.
That's probably the most. No, that isn't probably. That is the most expensive card I've ever bought. Like money that I've paid for the card at the time. So obviously, the most valuable in my collection is that Kobe, but the most money I've spent on a card was this one. And I actually think I got it. I probably won't say how much I got it for, but I got it for a really good price. Got mate straight from someone that didn't even really know me. I bought another card off his cousin, I think, and he's I'm like, do you have any Shaq? Like at the time, I was chasing just another Shaq order, and he's like, oh, my cousin's selling one. I'll send you a photo, and he sent me the photo of that. I'm like, that might be a card I might pay a bit of money for.
Like, oh,
that one's
all right. It's okay, that card. I mean, I suppose I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, so that's a. Oh, I've got that. Where have I got that? This one. So yeah, got that. The patch just sold
Yeah,
me.
good.
Like I find with
It is a good
Shaq's
patch.
autos, they're really streaky. Like most of the time, like the ink's streaky. I don't know if it's just a Shaq. I don't know how he signs it, or
He
if it's
just
just
signs really fast or
random.
something.
Yeah, but like they're all streaky. So like these autos are always like I don't think you get many.
Oh, there he is. He's dropped off. I reckon his phone's gone. His phone's gone flat there. Old Dan. Oh, good times. You've got solo Hendo until Dan gets back. I think he might be back already. Here he is. He's back. He's back.
I think it just. I think my
There he is.
I
There you
think
go.
my internet just shit itself, but it's all good
No,
now.
that's all right. I thought your phone might have gone flat.
Nah, it's all good. Yeah, so yeah, pretty much the patch just sold me, I'm like, that's a crazy patch. So there's not many times I'm gonna be able to purchase a card like this for that sort of money. So I had to jump on it. I didn't buy I think I paid it off. I did like a payment plan with a bloke for like 4 weeks or something and then
Yeah,
sent it
that's
to me
cool
after I
though. That
paid it
someone
off.
was
But yeah.
willing to do that. That's cool
Oh yeah, most
because
there's
you
some
get
good people in the
opportunities to
hobby,
do it.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. We'll go to the next one. I
Yeah,
think
that's
you were
also a
mentioning.
sick one. I bought this off a mate. He had it for a while, and I think I convinced him to sell it to me. Like I don't think he really wanted to let it go. I just kept nagging every week or something. I'd be like, "Do you still got the Kareem?" And just like slipping it in there, and I got that for actually a really good price too. But yeah,
That's
you
good.
see, like my collection's very like spread out. As far as like Lakers, I narrowed it down to Lakers, but Lakers is also such a very wide sort of thing to collect because there's obviously so many like you see there's like some teams that don't have that many superstars and that Lakers have hundreds, man, like and
Yeah.
of good players too. So
You can
yeah,
pick
I've got
eras with the Lakers,
100%.
whereas
Like
with some
I think that'll
clubs
be
or
my
some
next
teams,
thing. Like I'll
yeah,
try and collect like sets of teams. Like I'll have like Worthy, Magic, Kareem, Byron Scott, like that sort of like try and collect teams and just build sets like that, different
yeah,
eras sort of thing. But
yeah. I
yeah,
think it's
that's one of the favorites for sure.
with some of the franchises, there's just certain obvious times in that franchise's life that's where you would collect.
Yeah,
And so with the Lakers, you've got these different stages over these like just decades and decades and decades. So there's just you could pick any of them really, and you could go, okay, I'm just going to have a '70s Lakers
yeah, for sure,
collection,
100%.
easy.
Yeah,
'80s, '90s,
yeah,
2000s, it goes on and on. So
100%.
um,
Like I'm always changing sort of what I'm targeting. Like another, like I don't really post much of this, but I've got tons of LeBron Lakers base, like heaps of his first year cards with the Lakers, heaps of his championship cards, like just a different card from every single different product and that sort of stuff. So
yeah,
I'm always changing what like, and it's just weird sometimes, like what I'm sort of
I'm like have the
collecting. But
Eagles. Like I collect, I'm quite happy to tick the box and says add base.
do
When
PC
it's
Westbrook
Philadelphia
too? He's a
Eagles,
Laker. Well, I can't believe we haven't really gotten into the Westbrook topic yet. We
yeah,
might touch on that a bit. For anyone that
yeah, we
really
can
knows
do.
me, I don't know how many, like, probably not many people would know this, but I really dislike Westbrook. I just don't like him. I don't really even know why. I just think he's one of those players that when he's not on your team, like, he's sort of like just gets under people's skins and that and just a bit
Yeah,
over the top. So I just didn't like him. And I really don't know how this is going to work. Like, two very ball dominant players in LeBron and Westbrook together, and both obviously not the greatest outside shooters. It's going to be interesting how it works, but you can bet your bottom dollar if the Lakers flawless Westbrook auto comes out, mate. I'll be trying to swoop on that.
you'll have
It'll
to
be the
take a
new
cheeky look.
Kuzma. I don't know. It could work out really well. Someone put it to me the other day, like in a different like way about Westbrook sort of being on the team as most teams, you see how the Lakers defended him in the playoffs in the bubble, how we just completely sagged. We were like inside the paint pretty much when he had
Yeah,
the ball in the perimeter. But
yeah,
someone said to me that AD and LeBron out there will draw players to them so that it should actually free up space for him to just do his thing anyway. Like you think about it,
Yeah,
LeBron gets the
you can
ball on
see
the
it.
perimeter. He's not the most knockdown shooter, but like he hits crazy shots. Like he hits them from like the logo. Like you're gonna put a hand up if LeBron shoots the ball, right? And AD, he can knock it down as well. So you'll have players that will be guarding them out in the perimeter, which will in fact create space for Westbrook to just do his thing. So it's just gonna be interesting to see how it works.
Yeah, I think it will be. I mean, Jack's saying here he likes the Westbrook trade.
Yeah, lots
I,
of it's like it's either you love it or you kind of hate it. Eh? Like, just,
I
I think
think
it'll
the
be
thing that
good.
got me is when they brought the news out and they said initially, rightly or
Yeah.
wrongly, that it was reported that they were looking at Buddy Hield.
Oh
When
yeah,
they
I
looked
woke
at,
up to that news and I was so
yeah,
excited.
and
I
so
thought
I
that would have
look at
been
it and I think to
perfect.
myself, Buddy Hield would be a perfect complement to
100%.
the way LeBron plays. But I can see the other side of it because Westbrook is a regular season psycho
Yeah.
in that he doesn't take games off. He doesn't have a coasting mode. Like so,
Nah.
if you're trying to preserve LeBron,
Yeah, he's
Westbrook
perfect.
is strangely the perfect guy to have there. He'll go and clean up boards that he maybe shouldn't have, but he's
He'll
done it
just
in
be
every other
LeBron
team.
without LeBron. Like simple as
Yeah,
that. I think
but
it's
how many?
nearly like yeah, one of the best comparisons is LeBron. Like Westbrook's just a mini LeBron, really.
Yeah, I've heard that before, and it's not wrong. I just think like with AD doesn't want to play the five, and so he wants to play a certain way.
Yeah.
I think strangely, some people would disagree with me, but I think strangely having Westbrook do Westbrook shit will kind of allow AD to play the way he wants to play. Because you see all
100%.
these other teams, OKC, Washington, Houston, any of the big guys there, they just got hardly any rebounds because they were just boxing out, clearing space, and then Westbrook would just
Yeah, flies in.
through
Yeah.
uncontested and pinch literally 10, 12 boards a game. The Lakers could do the exact same thing, and now we don't have to worry about a Harrell or a the big fellas coming through. They don't have to worry about who's going to clean the glass on every possession. It's like they've got someone there that's going to actively seek it out. So I think the biggest thing though is being able to rest LeBron. LeBron's not going to have to be as ball
Yeah.
dominant for a whole whatever many games, 82.
And I think
72.
LeBron's a player that really doesn't want to rest, but I think he's going to realize this year that he's going to have to. Like, I honestly don't reckon we're going to see him play many back to backs at all. If there's going to be, I don't know, they've kind of changed. There's not too many back to backs these days anyway. Like, they've changed that up a little bit. But he'll take some games off. Like, I reckon he could take up to 20 games off just to rest. And having Westbrook in there just to do his thing, and it'll just help out big time. But that, on the other side of that, it's going to be interesting to see how that translates into the playoffs because Westbrook will play a lot of time where he'll be on the court without LeBron. And to see, like, you're going to need all three of those homies on the court at the same time come playoff
Yeah.
time. And to see how that works is going to be very interesting.
I think the interesting thing about this last season, Maggie Westbrook, I think one of the interesting things about this season is you could see certain teams, and the two that spring to mind immediately were the Clippers and the Lakers. Both heavily touted, both got talented squads, but neither team really got a chance to play together for the whole year. Like,
Yeah.
even bringing in Drummond, bringing in
And that was
what's his
very,
name?
very badly
McLemore.
timed as well. Yeah.
Yeah, Macklemore. And these guys came in, and I remember watching it. Two different things for those two different teams because with the Lakers, you look at it and you're just like, they're playing 4 games before the playoffs, I think it was, and it's like this 5, it's their first minutes. It's like, sorry guys, like they're cooked. And the Clippers, it's like they kept resting everyone. So rest Kawhi, rest PG, rest this guy, rest that guy. And you got towards the playoffs, and it's like, they haven't all played together. So like, how are you going to do it? I don't know.
Yeah, 100%, man. I'm with you. Like, I thought bringing in Drummond, like, bringing him in was a good move, but it's just unfortunate that the timing of bringing him in was when both AD and LeBron were out. And the Lakers were actually looking all right, like, when it was just Drummond. Like, it took a few games, like, we took some L's, but we were looking all right. We strung together a few wins. I think we were on 3 wins in a row or something like that. And then AD came back, and I'm like, now he's going to have to learn to play with him on the court. And then
that's what I mean.
LeBron came back in the playoffs, and it's like now he's going to have to, like, it's very hard. Like we think like lots of people look at the NBA and like teams just with big name players think they're just going to work it out like instantly, or it's
Doesn't
like
work.
it's not how it works. You know what I mean?
Blake's keen to find out how his poor Wizards will go. I actually think they'll
Oh
rebuild
mate,
quite nicely
I think they'll be right. Yeah,
because
it's what they needed.
they're gonna get Kuzma in a change of scenery. They
You're
got
going to get
Harrell.
Kuzma, who's going to be fired up. He's going to be coming
You
out
don't
with a
think so?
point to prove.
I would think so.
I reckon
And
I wouldn't be surprised if they make the playoffs. Like that's
they'll
a
have
bit.
money to
That's
spend as
yeah.
well because Rusty's money comes off. I don't know. I'm just reading. A couple of things here. Obviously, Cody with the Rui trending upwards, quite possibly. Rui's a bit of a beast.
Yeah.
One thing though, where I've thought about this too, where Jack's sort of saying that Beal will go. I actually don't. I don't know about that. I don't know.
I think he'll
I've got
stay.
this weird feeling he wants to be one of those single
One
team
sort of
guys.
team
I don't know.
players. Hey, yeah.
So we'll
I
see.
think. Yeah, I like. It's always weird with him. Like I find that rumors of players wanting to leave usually never comes from the players themselves. Like there was like Harden and like players that want to leave, they will come out and say like I want to leave, like Jimmy Butler and Harden and all that sort of stuff. But with players that are in the small market teams that aren't doing so well, I think just the fact that they're a superstar in a team like that, like the audience sort of thinks they're going to want to leave at some stage. But it's not the same for everyone. Like for him, he might just be happy just being there and averaging 30 points a game, and that's it. Like you never know what he wants. You know what I mean? Until he actually
It's
says
like
it.
it's different sports. Like I mean, a heap of people I know they'll give shit to someone like Nick Kyrgios, and I love Nick Kyrgios. I think he's awesome. But there's heaps of people who give him shit. He's like, oh, this guy, he doesn't try hard enough. It's like, yeah, but this is his job. There's some days I go to work where I don't try as hard as I should either. Like I can see the other side of the coin, and some people
Yeah.
they're pretty passionate. Obviously, Kyrgios is a what's the word, polarizing subject. But I see it in the NBA as well. Like there's certain guys, there's certain owners even, they're not dropping an extra couple of $100 million to try and win a title. They're spending what they're spending to run a business.
Yeah.
And they're happy to just be just outside the 8 every year, and it is what it is. This is my business. So not everyone's trying to win the title every year. So I think I think the same could be said about players. Like not every player is trying to win the Larry O'Brien Trophy every year.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. But like, I guess we'll say like it's a two-way thing. Like the Wizards are eventually, I don't know, eventually they're going to want to do something, and if it's not with Bale, if they're not making the playoffs and that sort of stuff, teams just eventually just do their thing. Like he's going to get older, and they'll see someone else they want, and maybe they move him. But yeah, it's interesting to always see. Every off season's interesting. I think this one will be big. To see
It's
where all these
become
pieces
already, isn't it?
fall. Yeah, big time.
Yeah. It'll be good. And look, every year it's the same. You know, there's players that you would never imagine seeing them in another uniform, and all of a sudden, like
Yeah,
Westbrook when he went to the Wizards, even when he went to
crazy.
Houston, it's like it makes no sense. It looks, whereas now it's just like he's a gun for hire every year. So I suppose I don't know. He might be in the Lakers this year, and then I don't know. He might be with Portland. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. You never know. And like Kawhi, like, does he stay with the Clippers? Like, lots of people think so, but I read something today that he might be looking at Dallas, and like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just unpredictable. Like, I think
Yeah.
that's a good thing about the NBA. Like, no one like would like. There's always these rumors, and the Lakers are big. Like, they're rumor heavy. Like, everyone's linked to the Lakers at all times. No one would have actually thought they would get someone like Russell Westbrook. Like, that was just a left field sort of thing that just happened on draft day. It's just so unpredictable.
Yeah.
It makes it always entertaining. Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting again. I mean, look, it's the politics too that works in different teams. Like you get a certain player like Luka as an example. You've got him for
Yeah.
a certain amount of time. You either
Yeah.
extend him or you don't extend him. Do you put a good team around him? Is he going to walk? So
Yeah.
this
You
is
never
where
know.
they end up getting a bunch of players that aren't really a great fit, but they get them
Yeah.
to appease the kid that might leave if you don't get them. So it's like they're not
Yeah.
getting them because they're going to change their franchise. They're getting them so they can re-sign that kid to another 5-year deal. So
Yeah.
it's interesting. A couple of people have mentioned that they reckon Melo is going to go. I actually feel like he's sort of.
I think Carmelo.
Yeah, I just think he's settled in Portland. But I suppose if they blow it up, if Lillard moves on, then I guess it's every man
never
for himself.
like. There's like I find with Australian sport, it's like most of the time when you have rumors, there's some sort of stuff behind there to kind of like make you realize that it's kind of true. But like in the NBA, like anyone can post any like, do you know what I mean? Anyone can come out and say, "Oh, Carmelo wants to sign with the Lakers," but how do you actually know it's true or not? Do you know what I mean? Whereas
But a
in
lot of
like
the
Australian
agents, I
sport,
think,
there's sources and all this sort of stuff. Yeah,
the agents will actually send a lot of that out too. Like if I'm trying to get more money
yeah,
out of Portland,
they'll put a
then
rumor out. Yeah, 100%.
I'm absolutely going to put it out there that I want to
Yeah,
go reunite with LeBron. I want to go hang out with Chris Paul in Phoenix. I want to go here. I want to go there. Drive my
yeah.
price up. So yeah, I think
And then
behind the
Portland chuck
closed
him a big
doors,
contract. Yeah,
behind the curtain, I think they're that's where the real business goes on. But outside in
yeah,
social media land, it's like we all get led along, and until someone like Wodge or Shams actually tweets it, it's all just make believe.
yeah, 100%. Like today, a big one came out and got me very excited that Dwight Howard apparently is going to come back to the Lakers. But you never
It'd be
know.
like his
Like the
third
source
stint,
is
though.
just, yeah, the source is like just some page. Like I could make a website and just come out and say all this stuff too. Like you never know. You know what I mean?
It always happens on on Facebook pages especially. I
That
get
basketball forever loves it. Yeah,
yeah, I know I know a little bit about that one. Yeah, I know, friends of friends sort of thing, and yeah, I mean they've been very clever in how they've marketed themselves. They're massive.
yeah, they're
That
big
actual
time.
brand,
They're big time. They're a great
brand is
page. Yeah,
worth a lot of money. Like they've branded out quite nicely. But yeah, there's always my nephew back in the day. He started an AFL football one, and he called it like I can't remember. It's a pretty generic name, like AFL trades, rumors, and something or other, trades and information or something. And his Facebook got hacked. He had like 108 or 120,000 likes. Like it was pretty epic. And yeah, his Facebook got hacked. They changed the name of the page, all the admin, and just jacked it. They just took it. So he started another one, and it got to like I think it got to like 50 or 60,000. So he knows how to build an audience, but yeah, he would only report because he wasn't a reporter. So he would just make sure that the news that was out there, he was
passes
and
it
was
on.
sharing
Yeah,
information. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, you either become a parrot to a couple of Twitter accounts where you're basically just retweeting what they're saying, or a lot of these pages, I think, are just making it up.
yeah, 100%, 100%.
Oh
Like
my god,
that basketball forever, like it posted Buddy Hield's coming to the Lakers. It's been like Wout is just confirmed and that stuff. I'm like, and then 30 minutes later, they posted Westbrook's coming to the Lakers. I'm like, which one do I bloody believe? And then you go on the draft and Woj just like, yeah, it's Westbrook.
Yeah, the best place to believe it, I think, is Woj and it's Shams. Those two guys basically fight over who's going to break the news.
100%.
Mark Stein, maybe. There's a couple more, but those other two are pretty much your go-to. I mean, if they're not saying it, then I'm not buying, basically.
Yeah, 100%. Well, like the NBA in the off season, I reckon you could argue that one of the sports in the world that the off season is actually nearly as entertaining as the actual season. Like the next few weeks, man, it's gonna be great. It's gonna be great to just open your phone and see what the heck's going on, eh?
Yeah, and whether it's like overnight, you get up the next day and you're like, oh,
and something big's happened, yeah.
It's going crazy, or you have a busy day at work, and then you flip your phone open, like you say, you get your phone out at like 5, 6 p.m. and all of a sudden like 2 or 3 trades that happen during the day, your WhatsApp's blowing up, your Facebook Messenger.
100%.
All right, I've got a couple more cards to bring up that you can tell me a little bit about.
This is actually a good one. I sent you this one for a reason because I could have sent like any Magic Johnson, and this is one of the ones that probably some people would look at it and go, "What the heck is this one on the screen?" So this was actually the second card that I ever bought. So after the Kobe one, Again, I didn't know anything about cards. So Leaf, which is the people that made this card, they're obviously not the most popular. Like some people just don't like Leaf at all because it's not licensed or whatever and
Yeah.
that sort of
Yeah.
stuff. But I just wanted the Magic Johnson auto, and I would have snagged this for real cheap. I think it would have been like $50 or something at the time. Like the card market
Yeah.
5 years ago is very different to the card market now.
Yeah.
So I got that. I just reckon it looks like a cool card. It just looks sort of like
Well,
a
that's what's fun
painting.
about some of this stuff.
Yeah.
Like we were talking about it last week, or might have been the week before. We are talking about like the different, what are they called? Like the Alan Ginter and all the different sort of like, I guess, abstract type of cards where it's like it's not your standard sports card that you would always get, like with an action photo or it's anything that's got a little bit something different to it. Because this, like, even though you put here like it's a 2015 card and it's Leaf Sport Kings and that, so like to me it actually looks like it's an 80s style card.
Yeah, it's got that look, eh? Yeah, I think that's why I bought it at the time. I just thought it looked awesome. It was on card. Like, obviously, I didn't really know what the difference between on card and sticker was. Like, it's pretty obvious that one's a sticker, one's on the card. But obviously, on card's more. Lots of people like it better, and yeah, I've sort of levitated to that way now. I'm buying lots more on card stuff. So, just because the fact that it's obvious that the players actually held that card or like signed it right on the card, not just grabbed the sheet and just gone scribble, that sort of stuff.
It makes it different, doesn't it? Like when you see some of the sticker autos that have got like the
you can just tell that they've been going through it
just
from
goes straight across here, and they miss the sticker. Like some of that's a bit disappointing.
Yeah, it just looks dodge. Yeah, but
my only comment on that though would be that I think people need to chill just a little bit in terms of what's coming out now, because the logistics of getting players to sign cards over the last like 18 months would have been
very hard,
fucking nightmarish, to put it lightly. So I think everyone should chill a bit. Like I'm seeing these different releases of cards and like people are going, oh, it's just shit, there's sticker autos again. It's like, they're gonna be, mate.
Yeah, 100%.
It's gonna be.
I think that's what's going to make the on-card stuff more like it's both ways. Like I was saying to someone the other day, Origins is one of my favorite products. I reckon the Origins cards look sick. And pretty much every year they're on-card autos, but this year they were stickers. And my personal preference, like I don't really care. I'll get stickers or on-cards, but at the moment I'm sort of getting more on-card. I might go back to stickers, but lots like people whinge about it and that sort of stuff. And I think like there's pros and cons to both. Like most of the time, sticker autos, your cards are going to grade better because they haven't done that whole process of being mailed out to the player to sign, handled by the player, put back into the post, posted back, then opened by Panini. They've just been signed the stickers and sent straight to Panini pretty much. So in a sense, so like if you're looking for value, like that card will most of the time grade higher than the on-card sort of stuff. So like, like there's pros and cons to all of it, but it just depends on your personal preference, I guess.
Yeah, always. All right, this is the one we were talking about before.
Yeah, the big one.
The big kahuna.
So I'd kill like at the time, as I said, when I got it for the amount of money I paid for it, I thought it was a big amount of money, and now obviously it's nowhere near the value of the card. I just wish I was more into the hobby, I guess, 5 years ago. I wouldn't even say I was into the hobby. I was just collecting. I've got still got some stuff from other teams. Like I got this Giannis signed 8x10 with like gold ink, looks sick. I got this Derrick Rose framed one. I was just collecting like all sorts of players that I kind of liked as a kid, and like more like Derrick Rose would have been one of those players, not so much Giannis. Giannis is just a player that was up and coming, and I liked at the time. But if I was more into it, obviously would have bought more Kobe stuff, and I'm kind of kicking myself now that I probably won't get that opportunity unless I win like a Raz or something. I'll never justify myself sort of forking out like $3,000 for a card. Not at this stage in my life anyway. Like that could change. I might sell stuff in the future and do that, kind of use that to fund it. But just happy at the time I grabbed it, eh?
Yeah, exactly. And but it's got its own story to it. Like if going back at that time, you spent I don't know, $300 times 10 or 12 or whatever. Like this one
Yeah.
particular card probably wouldn't have meant as much to you. So
I was fortunate enough that I got this one too. Like, because as I said, I didn't really care or know like anything about the hobby as far as brands or what's better, like, or what people prefer. Sorry to say the better, like on card or stickers or panini or leaf or upper deck, whatever. I was lucky I snagged one that, like, now I buddy would froth going out and buying like an on card auto with silver ink with like a hollow sort of finish at the, like behind it. It looks awesome. Yeah.
It's a crazy good card. I dig it.
Yeah, that's they've kind of really gone crazy now, eh? The good old Tops Kobe rookies.
That one's gone mental because, like, I've got somewhere, like, we've got a shed that's got like a whole heap of shit in it, boxes and shoe boxes and all sorts of boxes of just stuff, right? And somewhere within there is a Kobe. It's not this card, but it's a Kobe jersey card from like 2004 or 2003 or something. And I know I've got it. It's top loaded. It'll probably be like inside a book or something somewhere, and I can't find it. And it's been pissing me off like for, coming up on 2 years. Because I don't know where it is and I can't find it. But yeah, looking up all the different prices of the Kobe cards, obviously after he passed away, especially like watching.
I was kind of lucky. I kind of don't know how I snuck in, but so obviously the lockdown, like the big lockdown last year, it might have been earlier or sort of later for different places in Australia. For me, like in New South Wales, it was towards the end of March. We locked down for about a good 2 months. But during that lockdown, like, I had a bit of money behind me, and I was like, what do I do in this time when I'm just literally accruing money and like not going out and doing anything?
Myself.
And like, I think I got that for $100 on auction, and for some reason it was like 2 months after he passed away. You would have thought that it would have kind of boomed sort of earlier than that. It was kind of towards the end of lockdown when all of his rookie sort of stuff kind of started going through the roof, getting really expensive. So I just missed out on that. Like even now, like some of his rookies are going like the sort of like this one's the big one. Like you sort of kind of get a good sort of value for this one, but these other ones are kind of dropped down a little bit, whereas they were all crazy sort of at the start of this year and the end of last year.
I saw some of them, they'll get like PSA 8s and 9s, and they'll go for like $1,000.
Crazy, man. Crazy money. So I'm glad, and that one is actually pretty good, Nick. I've got it, where have I got it here? That one there. I've had a good look at it, and I'm not sure if I would get it graded. Like, fun fact about me, I've never actually graded a card or, like, I don't know, like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know if I'd want to, like, take the risk sort of thing on, like, an old card like this. I'd have to get someone else's opinion. Like, I wouldn't just send it out by myself. Like, I would send it to Cherry or I'd send it to someone else who's done it before and get them to have a good look at it before I did something. But with this one, I think one of the corners is a little bit soft. Like, it won't look like it there, but in person, like, obviously it's different, like a little bit soft. And I don't know how badly that would affect the grading. Like, I wouldn't care if it came back a PSA 8. Like, I would think that was sick. But, like, if it came back like a PSA 5 or a PSA 6, I'd be like, I'd probably rather have it raw. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's a conversation that I've had with a few different people, and even on here, and sort of going through those motions of like, do you? And at the moment with the cost of it too, it's like, well, it's kind of changed the game a bit in terms of like going from I want to preserve it to it needs to have a pretty good score, or it's not going to be worth the over the top price that people are charging me to grade it. Because I got a LaMelo Ball Astro out of Revolution, and so I'm sitting there looking at it, and I was talking to one of my mates about it, and he's like, dude, I would legit grade that because they grade really well, and who knows, you get a really great price for it if you want to sell it. And part of me was like, at the moment though, for Express it's like $300. It's like,
it's crazy.
I'd need to be getting
a fair bit of money back. I know what you mean.
$2,000, $3,000, and I'm looking at it going, is it really worth that? I'd hate to go to all that trouble and pay like, I don't know, $300 US for the process.
And it comes back like an 8 or something. Yeah,
if I get it back as an 8 and then I end up selling it for about the same price as I did all that shit, it's like,
was it worth it? Yeah.
No thanks.
Yeah,
So yeah,
it's interesting.
That's pretty cool. Like, it's fun to me to sort of see all the different cards, just the different. Definitely what appeals to me about your collection is I guess the diversity of the different players. Like, because you've obviously got particular focuses where you've gone, okay, like Magic, Kobe, different different superstars, I guess, of the game. But when you see stuff
And then I'll post something like a Steve Blake auto. Yeah. I was so stoked to get that Steve Blake auto too.
Did you ever watch him play for the Kings?
I did. So when I started getting into the NBL, I was one of the guys that are like, NBL sucks. Like, I didn't understand sort of FIBA and that sort of side of it. Like, obviously the NBA is designed and the US have put out the rules so that it's entertaining. So like, you can't defend the key. That means if someone beats someone off the dribble, it's going to be a dunk, or it's going to like they put the rules in place to entertain sort of the audience. But when I started meeting people that were involved in the NBL and that sort of stuff, I started, obviously, I love it. I watch nearly every NBL game now. And just because I've coached players that have made the NBL, or I've worked with coaches that coach in the NBL, that sort of stuff, that's part of it.
Yeah.
But also I like seeing the up-and-coming talent in Australian basketball and like sort of the fringe players that are going to play for the Boomers. Like, for example, Nick Kay was a fringe. He was just on the cusp of like NBL like a few years ago, and now he's playing for the Boomers. He's freaking amazing. And like Chris Golding, he's a superstar like in the NBL, knocks down shots. No idea how he's never been in the NBA, but he goes to the Boomers and he's like their 11th man. But when I started getting into it, Steve Blake had just signed with the Kings, and I loved it because I was a Lakers fan. I'm like, that's awesome. And I think he only played there was something, I don't know exactly what happened, but I think he was a mid-season signing, and he came over, and I think he only played like 3 or 4 games, and then for some sort of reason he left the team as well. But I never actually got down to watch a game. Yeah.
Yeah, it didn't go well for him. I don't think I think he had to go home. I think they said he had some issues at home. He had to
might have maybe homesick or something. Yeah.
Yeah, it's quite possible, and that's fine. But he didn't have a good time here. He didn't hit too many shots, and he just seemed to struggle a bit. But I mean, everyone's seen what he was able to achieve in the NBA. Like, everyone knows he can ball.
For sure, man. 100%.
Of all the teams though, and he's in Sydney Kings gold and yellow too.
Yeah.
So
I've got a bit of on the topic of Steve Blake. So I don't know how true this is, but I heard from people that I knew in the NBL at the time. I heard this rumor, and this is a bit on the topic of Lakers. This could be completely wrong, or it could be like real. I don't know. We'll never know now. But that year when we got the Kings got Steve Blake and Josh Powell, if you remember, both ex-Lakers. That year, Kobe Bryant was actually meant to come to Australia for some sort of tour, and they were talking heavily. And that was the year when Gaze took over as coach, and they did all that sort of stuff. And the owners of the Lakers became the owners of the Kings. I don't know if anyone remembers that, but it went crazy.
Yeah.
And I heard heavy rumors from people in the NBL that Kobe was actually meant to suit up for the Kings and play a few games.
Oh, wow.
And it never went through. And as compensation, they ended up snagging ex-Lakers Steve Blake and Josh Powell.
Jesus.
But as I said, like, some people could say that's ridiculous, but at the time, there was lots of people that I knew that were heavily involved that were telling people to get season passes and were telling people to buy tickets in advance, because when this news broke, there was no chance anyone was getting any tickets.
Yeah, they'd be gone in 5 minutes.
100%. So God knows, we'll never know now, but imagine if that happened, how crazy that would have been for the NBL. Like something like LaMelo Ball coming over last year, and like the players, like I think the NBL right now is a legitimate pathway to the NBA. I find players come to the NBL when they're trying to make the NBA. Like, you look at Torrey Craig, like he's a big one. You look at RJ Hampton, LaMelo Ball, Josh Giddey even. Like, he could have gone to college, but he decided the NBL. And like Jayshawn Tate was an undrafted rookie out of college, came to the NBL for a season, and he got named in the All NBA first rookie team. So It's a sort of
I
a
think they've
league that you'll
created a
come
good path.
over.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they've
you come
created a
over
good
to
path.
make the NBA from the NBL, whereas like there's teams like there's leagues like China and stuff where I find it's the opposite. It's like NBA players who aren't going to be making the NBA anymore, looking to go and play somewhere to keep getting money.
Well, I think
So
that's where we used to get players. And,
yeah,
we used to get players that had their go in the NBA, or they couldn't get there, and they came here as like as an alternate lifestyle choice, alternate league choice. So it might not have been their first preference, but now they've sort of, it's only really happened in the last, I don't know, 4 or 5 years that they've started to
yeah,
really mold like what it means to come here, instead of just having guns for hire and you just come here and play, what is it,
you come here and just
24
get shots
games and
at.
then
Yeah,
bugger off.
yeah,
It's pretty cutthroat though. I mean, guys come here and play. Like, an NBL import is not a safe place. Like if you don't
no,
get
you can
shots,
get cut as
you're
quick
going
as you
home.
can be signed, 100%.
Yeah, 1 minute they're loving you, putting you on a calendar.
A
Next
good
minute,
example for that is Glenn. I think it was Glenn Robinson the third. Like he was a lottery, or sort of not. I don't know. His lottery was a first round pick in the NBA. Obviously, his dad, Glenn Robinson, is a
was it
freak.
Glenn Rice or Glenn Robinson?
Glenn Rice, I think it was.
Might be Glenn Rice because I
Glenn, one
he
of the
played for the
yeah, he
for the
played for
Breakers.
the Breakers, yeah, and he got cut, and he came over, and some people that I know say he's one of the most talented sort of dudes that they've ever seen. Like he's got like everything to be a great NBA player, but he's just a head case.
Yeah,
So like just because you've got a name or you've got a reputation or you've been drafted and that sort of doesn't guarantee you anything in basketball. Like there's hundreds of hungry players that are out there willing to take your job if you're not going to do it right. You know what I mean?
yeah. It's like when you want to be a coach and someone goes, "Oh, no, I'm only going to be an AFL coach. That's what I'm going to be." It's like,
Yeah,
well, that's cool, man, but there's only 18 of those jobs on the planet. So
yeah,
you might want to
100%.
have a plan B just in case it doesn't work out. But yeah,
Yeah.
no, that's pretty cool. I mean, look,
And
it's
touching on that, like you see how strong the
sort of
Boomers
different.
are now. Like
Mm.
Aussie basketball in general, like it's like everyone in the starting lineup was Saturday night. So last night, everyone in the starting lineup has had NBL experience. So I
Yeah,
just
right.
Paddy Mills played during I think it was the protest that sort of lockdown in the NBA. Forget what happened with that, but do you remember that season? I think it might have even been the
Oh, it was the
20
lockout season back in the day. Yeah,
that
because
one. He came
that's
over
back
and
in the
played.
day.
Yeah,
Yeah, because he had the ambush army with the Melbourne Tigers, and he got like stuff
yeah,
right to the community. He was super cool. I've said before, like we had season tickets through my work at the time, which was through IronNet back in the day, and yeah, we used to go to a few games. We tried to take as many people to the games because we got like 30 odd like GA tickets, and then we got the box. And so I
yeah,
think I went in the box twice, but we tried to get as many people that had never been to a basketball game before. We tried to get them tickets every week to yeah, obviously
yeah.
they're there to use, but yeah, Paddy was playing for the Melbourne Tigers then, and it was super cool to watch him play.
Yeah, he's a freak, man. He's a gun. I love him.
It's actually a pretty good segue though, because one of the things I wanted to sort of cover off was exactly that in terms of the Olympic coverage and just the Aussies in general, like the way we're going. For the most part, I think we're doing great. I mean, I'm one of those people though that like when I hear that someone says someone's lost gold as opposed to winning silver or winning bronze, it kind of shits me a bit because I think, mate, like these people have worked for like 4 years and you're sitting there going, oh, they lost. They lost. It's
Yeah.
like, fuck,
I
man, they
think if we
won.
get a
They won
medal,
a
man,
silver
that's just
medal.
amazing. Yeah, I
Yeah.
reckon. I reckon I'd be over the moon with a bronze medal. I
I
think
think we've
we've got
all got,
potential to get to the gold medal game, but I'm
yeah.
stoked
I
if we
just
get
think like
anything.
athletes in general, like it does my head in sometimes, to be honest with you. Like
Oh,
everyone's
for
just like
sure.
so far ahead of themselves now. It's like, oh, if it's not gold, it's nothing. Whereas
Yeah,
even
hundred
just, I don't
percent.
know, 3 or 4 Olympics ago, it was like, oh my God, we won a bronze medal. That's awesome. And now we're like
Yeah,
miles ahead of ourselves. It's like, oh, it's gold or nothing. So it'd be
yeah, hundred
interesting with the
percent.
men's basketball because, obviously we've never got a medal. We've
Yeah,
been we've been
in
cruising
anything,
towards
just
it.
yeah.
And now no Baines. It's like, oh my God, are you serious?
Yeah,
No
it's going to
Baines.
be interesting how we stack up against Spain and how we stack up against the States after that. That's a like Bangers. He's a big part of the team. Like someone said that he was only averaging 15 minutes a game or something over the friendly games and the Olympics. I'm like, In those 15 minutes, he's providing like crazy stuff, man. Like he's
outside,
a big
massive
body.
amount of
Yeah, he can
rebounds.
stretch the floor. He's a big body that can bang with the other bigs. Of like, who's going to guard Gasol like for Spain, and who's going to guard like anyone that comes off the bench for the States and that sort of stuff. But I think I think we'll be right. Like, it's just interesting because it's like from now on, it's win or go home. Like, it's not a playoff series, so if you get someone on their bad day, like it could be us, like we could have a terrible game and get knocked out in the quarterfinals. Like nothing's a given. And the same thing with the States, the same thing with Slovenia, the same thing with Spain.
Yeah,
It's
they're
just
on a
gonna,
mission, though,
yeah,
aren't they? Like they're on a fucking mission. Like you can
yeah.
just see it. Like I remember one of the commentators. It wasn't the Aussies. It was a foreign commentator, and he was talking about Joe Ingles, and he's like, and there's Joe Ingles with that lightning first step. And I'm like, come on, man. Like, Joe doesn't have a lightning first step.
Oh mate, he's one of the
He's
slowest
bloody
people I've
crafty.
ever seen in my life. Yeah.
Yeah, he's crafty. But I remember Trevor Gleeson back in the day when we had access to the Tigers and that back in the day. And I interviewed him once and I asked him about Cam Tragar. And he said to me, he goes, Cam couldn't jump over a credit card. And I've never forgotten that. That saying, because it probably applies to me now playing over 30s basketball. But yeah.
Yeah,
But
for sure, man.
With the Olympics, it brought up an interesting question that some of the guys were asking in the Cherry Discord. Funnily enough, they were just saying like, what? It was Blake actually, who might still be here. I'm not sure if he's still here, but Blake was asking like, what is the sport you think you could become elite at over a 3-year period? So just in time for Paris in 2024. I'll chuck down hot dog eating only because they might put it in. And
That's a very hard one, yeah, for sure. Like it has to be at the Olympics right now.
Well, that's the question. I've gone with the caveat because I've gone the hot dog eating and I've gone that 30-meter wheelie bin dash off the sports bet ads. But if you wanted to set your own rules for it, it has to be in now, or you could say, we'll introduce it.
I'm pretty good at spinning the ball on my finger. I reckon I could take some people in that.
Yeah,
that would be actually pretty hard. No, I don't know. What I would be good at.
What would they allow you to wear though to do that? Like, would you have to wear like a Harlem Globetrotters uniform, but in your own country colours?
Who would not? Yeah, that'd be weird. A uniform for that, eh? I just imagine heaps of people rocking up with just like this, like just chilling in the room, spinning the ball on their finger.
Like every country has to have it comparable. So as long as it's not like beach volleyball, we don't want to get crazy. And Blake on cue has literally just written no pants. So I mean, Blake brought up the question, so I mean he can set the table on how.
Yeah, I honestly don't know. 3 years. I don't know. Like we would come to an Olympic thing. I reckon archery. I reckon if I really like, if you work hard in archery, but like in saying that, like you never know how hard it is. But I think that's like very individual and I reckon you could get good at it in 3 years. So I'm going to put down archery. I can give me 3 years in that, and I'll be getting gold medals for Australia, mate.
That's a good shout. See, we're only asking you to compete. If you want to overachieve, then that's good.
Oh, mate, I'm out there. I'll go bring back the gold medal in the 100-meter freestyle, mate.
I thought you were going to say 100-meter archery.
Jesus!
Just run at top speed and just shoot shit with arrows. It's not bad. Yeah, the other thing I was going to bring up too is Jock Landale. Like, how big was he in that third game? He was massive.
Oh, mate, he's incredible. He's going to be very, very close to an NBA contract, I think. The fact that I don't know how much you follow the NBL now, but Will Magnay he went over this year and played a bit with the Pelicans. I think Landale is a hell of a lot better than him. I think the only question mark on Landale is his size. He's for a center position or a power forward, I guess. Like, is he quick enough and like, is he quick enough to be a power forward? Or if you look at him as a center in the NBA, is he big enough? Like, that's just going to be the question. But I think that there's going to be a team that's going to take a punt on him. I'll not be, especially after this Olympic campaign. Like, there's going to be a team that's he'll play summer league, I reckon. 100% play summer league for someone, and I wouldn't be surprised if he's going to be on the bench, like even a rotation player on one of those weakest of the teams this year. He's been huge, man. His improvement, like he just come onto the scene, sort of thing in the FIBA World Cup. He was playing over in Europe, and he also played college in America. And I really didn't know too much about him because I usually know a lot about the juniors coming up and that sort of stuff. But Landale kind of came out of the blue for me, and he's crazy. I watched him heaps in the NBL this year. He was probably the best player in the whole NBL. He's one of the best players in the Olympics. He's been huge, man. And Banger's going down. Obviously, he's going to play a lot more game time. He's going to be more of a focal point on offense. So I think he'll probably average close to 15 points a game for the rest of the sort of as long as we're in the tournament, I guess. He's going to get a hell of a lot of shots.
They definitely have to use him, and he's got an opportunity. I think it's one of those things, though, when you see these sort of opportunities come up, you think to yourself, oh, like, is he up to it? It's always it's like it's great that someone's got an opportunity, especially people like Aussie basketball fans, and especially those that are my age and even a little bit older. It's like, yeah, like if we were actually to win a gold medal one day, like I swear, like most fans in general, but most fans my age and a little bit older, they'll probably just sit there and bloody bawl their eyes out at the TV. The amount of times we've gone and we've tried, and there's always some shit goes on, and
we've fallen short, eh? Yeah.
Yeah, but we get dogged by fever. I feel like sometimes it's just there's just so many moving parts. But
yeah,
hopefully nothing happens this time. But I don't know. I don't want to play.
Fingers crossed, mate. Fingers crossed it's a gold medal game. That would be amazing. Imagine that playing the States. You never know what's going to happen. Like the States are a favourite for a reason, but I've said this to plenty of people over the past couple of days. Like you get anyone on a bad day, and anything's possible. So yeah, I just hope that if we win our next game, like I'll be like at ease because I'm stressing big time that we're going to somehow get stung with playing the States in the quarterfinals after they lost to France or something dodgy. We'll just ended up stitched up. Hope we play someone that's crap in those quarterfinals just so we can get into competing for a medal.
Yeah, I'm not convinced on the US team. I think they've done a similar thing to what we saw with the Lakers and Clippers. I think they've brought in like extra stocks and brought in extra people, and they don't look like a real team. But anyone who's got the likes of Lillard and KD and
they're going to put points up, mate.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, what else have we got here? I'm just going to go through the little list. We've covered off most of what I wanted to cover. I did just want to very quickly, just for those that are in Melbourne, and I did give this a little shout last time, but the Hobby Hangout. I mean, who the fuck knows what's going on with?
Oh mate, you never know.
Lockdown, lock in.
Changes every day.
Lockdown. It changes, yeah. So I mean, these guys, like everyone else, will sort of be sweating a little bit. But I must admit, like, not to get too off track, but like with a lot of this stuff with lockdowns and COVID and everything, it's sort of it sapped my energy for looking forward to anything because you can just have it taken away a bit. Whereas this, meeting a bunch of people that I've met over the last, probably 18 months specifically from the hobby, I'm actually genuinely really looking forward to it. So I'm hoping it goes ahead.
Yeah. I'm devastated I missed out on the Sydney one, mate. I can't wait till it's back on in Sydney. I'll be down there for sure. It'd be good to put some names to sort of faces and that sort of stuff. Very, very excited for when it's back in Sydney. I would highly recommend getting to the one in Melbourne. I was, as I said, kicking myself if we can get to one in Sydney.
Yeah, I think it'll be fun. I mean, look, there's first release, second release. I don't know. Get into it if someone wants to go get a ticket. Jimmy P always thinks this is a paid advertisement, but it's not. I had to pay for my own ticket. Not quite haven't quite hit that sort of level before. And what's Mayo saying here? We've been stitched up. Argentina next, and then USA, Spain in the semis. Okay.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So it is.
Argentina are a tough matchup. We did find it hard to play them in the friendlies, but I reckon we can roll them. USA, Spain in the semis. That is tough. That is.
There's just so much. Just as a deja vu type scenario, like if we make the semis and then we lose that game and we're playing off for a bronze, that just gives me just the worst feeling in the world.
Oh, 100%, man.
Someone,
And just the fear,
will
like if we
fuck
just
us
get to
over.
the gold medal game, it's good because we're coming away with a medal no matter what.
Yeah,
That
like,
bronze one gives me flashbacks, doesn't it?
yeah, I don't think
Most
I
recently of the
sincerely
World Cup.
understand. Yeah, I mean, some of that has just been just horrendous. Anyway, let's not think about it. We're going to concentrate on
positive vibes.
On the goods. Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, cool. So let me just have a look at the famous run list, as they say. I'm not actually going to talk about Carlton. We did actually win this week, but that's what we do. We lose against the shit teams like North Melbourne. No offense.
Yeah, I'm not too like you said about the NRL. I really don't know what's going on too much in the AFL. I have heard from my friends that support the Sydney Swans that they might be a dark horse. What's your opinion on that?
Yeah, Sydney's one of those. If I put them in kind of like NBA speak, to me, like Sydney's one of those sorts of Spursy type teams where they're always building on the fly. They're never bottoming out. Much like Geelong, much like Hawthorn were up until recently. It was like, it's a case of they're always rebuilding on the fly. They never fully rebuild. They just retool. I rate Sydney. Carlton's gone up there and had to play them in an elimination final before and came off second best. So, yeah, I would definitely respect Sydney. Whether they're a chance to win the flag, well, look, 2016, the Western Bulldogs, who hadn't won one in God knows how long. Yeah, they came from seventh, which no one had really done before, and they won it. So once that happened in 2016, I think every footy fan realised that just about anything can happen. So yeah, they might be if you get good odds on the Sydney Swans to win the flag. I don't know, with all this sort of craziness, we don't even know where the game's going to be played. It could be played at the SCG. They could have a home game for all we know. No idea. But yeah, so all right, to flip the script on that though, Blake's saying that Newcastle is a dark horse, baby. Is that actually remotely any chance, or are they just shit?
So I had a giggle at that just then. I've been just like flicking onto the chat every now and again. In all seriousness, probably not at all. We are one of 4 or 5 teams that are all tied on the same amount of points as the teams that are coming 7th and 8th. But our for and against is really bad, like really bad. So we're going to have like more competition points than those teams to make the finals. So in the last, I think we've got 5 or 6 games left. Our draw is real easy. Like we could potentially win all of those games and charge into the finals. Our team's at full strength, and we haven't seen it much at all this year because we've had plenty of injuries. Our team at full strength looks pretty good, but it's not anywhere near a Melbourne or a Penrith or any of the top teams. So, best case scenario this year, we might snag 7th or 8th, but it wouldn't surprise me if we just don't make it. And yeah, we're just that sort of team.
Was a couple of weeks ago. Like we were looking at the back end of I don't think we're a finals team at all, but mathematically we were a chance. And then we had a lot softer schedule in the second half to the first half, and so yeah, I can see it the same sort of way. Kai's asked the question.
We've got too many games to crap teams. They come back to bite in the end of the season.
Yeah, that's right. We've done the same thing. So it says, are you an F1
I'm
fan?
actually not. I know. I wouldn't say I dislike it. I just don't know too much about it. I don't really watch it and that sort of stuff. But
yeah, I've only got into it in the last 6 months or so. So I don't pretend that I'm an expert.
Yeah. It'd be something I'd like watching. It'd be good to have something else to watch, but I just haven't got around to it, I guess. In the past 5 or whatever years since I've kind of left school and that, I've always tried to find another thing to watch to spend my time. I've tried the NFL. I've tried even baseball, ice hockey, all this little stuff. I appreciate watching all of it, but I just haven't found that other thing outside. Obviously, footy, like NRL, I watch that, and basketball, but there hasn't been a third thing. But I haven't really tried F1 yet, so I might give that a go and have a yarn to you about that next podcast, mate.
Yeah, get
Yeah,
F1 cards.
the cards are going crazy now, eh? I've seen I've been sometimes if I'm bored or something, I'll just type in like card breaks or
Yeah,
live card breaks in the YouTube and just kind of watch what's going on. And there's been heaps of people breaking F1 at the moment. So
yeah. The Topps Chrome stuff came out, and some of the prices for some of like the Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen cards and that out of control. Like some of the prices, you just look at it, you go, fucking hell, man. Like 10,
yeah,
12, 15, 20 grand. I mean, I know there's cards out there that cost that much, but yeah, these cards have sort of come out of nowhere. So I've tried to
yeah,
I've
right.
tried to prospect and pick a young up and comer, and hopefully I collect just about everything that's on the internet for him. And then eventually
Yeah.
he goes to the moon, and then I sell it all, and I
Oh,
buy a
the
small
dream.
island. Yeah, it's buy a small island. It'd be sick. All right.
Name the island after him.
Yeah, so yeah, Lacey Island. I'm pretty much stuck in a Lacey Island. No one's into him at all. It's just me. So, I was going to ask the chat if those of you that are active here, like if anyone had any questions for Dan on his collection and whatnot. We've run through a fair bit of stuff tonight, and I've actually really enjoyed
We've
it.
covered a fair bit, eh? Like we've kept it
I,
going for a good amount of time. I only just
I
looked at
actually just
what.
enjoy just
Yeah,
watching, like just seeing the new stuff that you post, just because. I was going to ask you actually, like your setup for taking the photos. It might be a trade secret, but like,
it's
what's
the most
your trip?
dodgy setup. It's just on I don't know if a bit of like a unpaid advertisement for AB Hobby
Oh
card
yeah,
cases. I've got one
yeah,
of them, and I just flip it over to the blank side of it, and
yeah.
I just take a photo on my phone of it. But I kind of want to invest in one. People have been telling me about these lights from Kmart, like these circle lights. I don't know, like lots of people use them, and they say
Yeah,
like it really pops. And I can tell when people use it because like the silver sort of hollow or whatever, like it just around the card pops out.
yeah,
And most of the time with me, my trouble is I'll always have like a shadow of my phone on the card, like there'll be a part of the card that's like
same,
dark and that sort of stuff. And I think
same.
that those lights kind of like cut that out of it. So I might look to invest in that. But at the moment,
Interesting, though.
it's
Yeah,
just on the case. Yeah,
it does my head in because yeah, that's good to know because I see some of the accounts out there, and I just look at it like the photos look so crisp and clean and whatever. I got like one of those little light boxes. They're little you get them off eBay. They come from China. They're like this big. They're like they
yeah,
fold up and clip together, and then you just get like a I don't know. It's like a curve on the inside, and you get like 5 different colors, and you just clip it on, and you take a photo. It's got like neon lights and stuff inside it, so you clip a USB cable to it, and it just lights right up. But the
yeah,
trouble is, like certain angles and certain stuff that you do with it, I don't know. It's to me, my photos don't look as good as other photos I see out there on the gram. So like I'm looking for a way to do it. I've tried the ring lights and I've tried like shining it brightly, and then I did it with a card. I did it with a card from as a Pokemon card, and because it was like shiny, the ring light was just shining right back at it. So I'm like,
yeah,
I must be doing something wrong, but I
yeah,
will
yeah.
persevere.
Well, I was taking my photos like my sort of ones when I first started my page. I only started my page in March, and I didn't really know what to do, sort of thing, as far as that. I was just taking I had an old iPhone 7, and I had to upgrade that. Photos look much better now on the 12. But
Yeah.
yeah, like I didn't really. I want to invest in one of those lights because of like the photos I see in those. I ask people too. I'm like, what do you use? And heaps of people told me that. So I
Yeah,
think that might be the secret. So I'm gonna
yeah,
maybe when I get a lazy $50 instead of spending it on a Raz, I might go and buy one of those lights.
yeah. Oh, Carpet's been on the show quite a few times, and he says like, he doesn't do it, but he knows about it. But yeah,
Yeah,
good camera, step back, zoom. Totally agree, man. And like these days, you can just tap the viewfinder on the thing you want, and it'll focus it all up. It's beautiful. Like it's great. It's just for me, it's like the background, the lighting. I don't know. It's kind of like this podcast. It's like the lighting and everything could do with a bit of work. But
yeah,
it's all good. We'll figure it out. But yeah, I like seeing the good stuff online. It's always fun to watch. But
yeah, for sure, man.
all right, well, if no one's got any questions, we might wrap it up. It's getting close to 10 o'clock, and the F1s are on tonight, so we want to sink our teeth into that shortly. But I just wanted to chuck a couple of bits and pieces up on the screen. We've got the Baseline Drunks blog. Once again, always putting it out there if anyone wants to share some thoughts or share some photos or stories about their collection or anything like that. If they want to, write anything, totally up to you. But yeah, any content's welcome. Obviously, the stream replays are there as well. A bit about the gram. We got that. We got the Baseline Drunks Insta. It's probably the place to come and check it out. You can see some. I wouldn't say they're subpar photos, but they're like 3/4 par photos. We're all going to be working on getting better. And Jack, I might just mention that actually. Jack's talking about me getting a better mic. He's actually quite kindly donated a pretty dope mic for me to use.
Awesome.
So yeah, I'll be very much looking forward to that. So I very much appreciate it from Jack. And finally, not to forget, Dan Howe Cards, which you said wasn't intentional as a play on words for your name.
It wasn't.
It turned out that way.
It did, big time. Yeah, I'm very pleased with how it's turned out. Like, it's awesome. Yeah, I didn't really know. I didn't even know, I didn't know what I was going to put as a logo either. Like, before I made the page, I made sure, like, when I decided I wanted to, because I used to just post it to my personal, and I'm pretty sure, like, all my mates and, like, everyone that follows me kind of started just didn't like seeing all cards all the time. So I'm like, all right, I'll make a specific one. I wanted to have, like, a logo before I made it, because I didn't want to be one of those things, like those pages that came out without one, like, without sort of an identity. So I'm glad it's all worked out.
I like the fact that you forward with the fact that you're from Australia and that too, because I never did that with my Philadelphia Eagles one. I'd sort of just, not intentionally, but I just sort of chucked it up, and you get like a pretty good following pretty quickly. But the amount of people that would DM me going, "Hey man, do you want to buy this? Do you want to buy that?"
Yeah,
it's before I got shipped my cards, so I was just like, "Oh, will you send it to Australia?" and never hear from them again, sort of thing. So
yeah,
no, it's cool. It's cool. It's like it's Australia first, and it's got everything. But yeah, no, it's super cool, man. So I'm very happy we got to hang out and have a chat, and we're going to put more of these together, mate. So
I was stoked when you reached out. So I've always wanted to do something like this. So that's awesome. Cool. Thanks for having me on, bro.
No trouble at all. And look, we're going to do more of these. I think the more people we speak to, not to peer behind the curtain too much, but the software that I use for this stuff, you can get up to like 10 people. I mean, it'd be a shit show, everyone talking shit about whatever, but it'd be pretty cool to just sort of, get 4 or 6 different people in to talk about
it'd be sick to have you.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, look, very much appreciate it. Thank you very much, and thanks to those who tuned in. As always, keeping the comments flying in. I see high jumps getting intense, so it doesn't always have to have context. Thanks, Blake. But yeah, it's always interesting regardless. So hang on the line, Dan. We'll have a chat afterwards. But guys, thank you very much for watching. Thanks again, Dan, for coming on. And we'll chat to everyone again next Sunday night. Cheers.